Hi Chuck, hope you're well, mate. And first of all, thank you very much for purchasing the list tailoring package. So I'm going to do my best job now to give you a really good run through this Admech list I've created for you. You said you wanted to go mono Admech, which I absolutely love. I think Admech are in a really good place and absolutely love the army. It's an army that I've used myself, and I'm really starting to enjoy the new units. And also their play style, and I think it has a really good potential in the ITC format because you can play at your own pace essentially, providing you pick the right secondaries. And that's actually something that we go over on the mentorship program in a lot more detail, is how to actually pick those secondaries based on your opponents, the archetype of the list that you're playing, and all that kind of good stuff. So anyway, let me go into the list as it is, and I'll tell you why I've put the things in that I have. So you have to kind of follow along with me through this video. We've basically got 3 detachments. We've got 2 battalions and we've got a spearhead, okay? So I'll run you through the first battalion first. Now this is a Styges battalion, and you've got 2 engine seers, literally just to fill out that mandatory slots there, and then you've got 3 units of rangers, okay? Nice and simple. And I've just given them the galvanic rifle. They're probably not going to do much literally apart from screen, so that's all they kind of need to do. Then you've got the big hitter unit here, which is the 6 dragoons, okay? So this is really, really cool, and there's some good stratagems you can use to really maximize this unit. This unit is basically going to put the press on. It's going to really focus on putting your opponent kind of on the back foot, and making them deploy in their own backfield. One of the problems Admech have is they're quite static, and it allows your opponent to get board control. Whereas this 6-man unit, and to be honest, really has to be 6 to get the maximum amount of threat out of this. And the stacks that you can put on it is fantastic. So it really has to be a 6-man unit to do anything. Okay, so obviously they're -1 to hit because of Styges, and then also we've got some really cool stratagems that we're going to use with this. So one of them is going to be the move them before the game. So if you feel like that's appropriate, move them, maybe hide them out of line of sight, or maybe redeploy them slightly. Always really, really good for 1 CP, and that's obviously a Styges specific stratagem. You've also got the Conquer Doctrine, which is I think they add 1 to the hit rolls, or might even be add 2 because of the broad spectrum data tether. Let me just check that. I think it is +2. Which just makes these guys absolutely phenomenal. And I want to get, I actually wrote this list, and I said to the guys at Vanguard Tactics, like, I need to buy all of this myself because I want to run this list. So this will be yours and mine list, mate, for the next ITC tournament I go to. Obviously, you've got that 6 up and runnable save. You're -1 anyway, so actually -2 to hit. Yeah, you've got that broad spectrum data tether, so you're now hitting on 2s, which is great, which is absolutely fantastic. And obviously every roll of a 6+ causes 3 hits, so now you're doing that with the +2 on 4s. So every 4 you roll is now an additional 3 hits rather than 1, which is absolutely amazing, which is why you want to run this unit. And obviously they're strength 8, -1, 2 damage. These guys could easily pack a punch on a night, which is what you want. Again, it just means your opponent is on the back foot, needing deploy defensively, so it allows you to slowly press, and also then, because you've got the range, you can just clear them off the board. Okay, so it means that they're not going to get that hold more. Hopefully you can get the equal amount of holds, but get the more kills. Okay, so that's a strategy with that unit. Okay, now what we've got is another detachment, another battalion, and this is the Servitor Maniple from the Vigilus Defiant book. So this is a special detachment, another battalion basically, and it's going to cost you 1 CP to run this. Now this again is really beautifully constructed. With this battalion is Riser, again to make full advantage of their stratagems. Okay, so basically what we've got is a Tech Priest Dominus for reroll 1s. He's the Warlord with the Master of Bio Slicing, which is a Defiant Warlord trait. And basically that means that as long as you've got a servitor within 6 inches and a unit of destroyers within 6 inches of him, you can take a servitor and make it a destroyer if it's lost one, which is absolutely brilliant. Okay, so what you want to do, here's the trick, is at the end of the movement phase, which you want to make sure you allocate wounds on the destroyers closest to that Dominus so he can heal them. Then we've also given him the relics so you can re-roll that D3. So if, let's say, they've got 2 wounds to fill up, you've got a couple of chances to make sure they go back to full, so then you can bring a new servitor back on. Okay, absolutely brilliant, because then you're making a servitor into a 50-point model basically, which is really, really good. And if you can keep these destroyers alive, then yeah, it just means that these guys are going to pack a punch for you. So here's why they pack such a great punch. Because of the servitor mana pool as well, there's a stratagem there to give them a 5-up and vulnerable save. And also a stratagem to give them +1 to hit. So these boys now, they're hitting on 3s, and it means that they're never going to die from Overwatch because you can't roll a 1. So it just means with that +1, they're going to ignore the Overwatch the overcharging and killing yourself, okay, providing there's not a -1 or -2 or -3, and then you wouldn't do that, okay. But here's your get out of jail free card. So ideally you want to get that +1. You want to overcharge, and then the stratagem you're going to use with these boys every single turn is going to be the riser stratagem. So for all of their plasma weapons, they're going to get +1 to the wound roll. So now you've got plasma wounding on 3s, and you're going to get another damage. So these guys, if you don't overcharge, damage 2, and if you do overcharge, they're damage 3. And these guys just put out so many shots. It's great. And they'll be re-rolling 1s because of the Dominus will be nearby. And then you've also got an engine seer in that detachment with 2 more squads of Rangers. Okay, and you've also then got 4 servitors, so you can bring them back, and then these you want to deploy out of line of sight, okay, but behind a bit of cover, okay, and then you've got 3 Onager Dream Crawlers, okay, nice and simple. And these guys have got the neutron lasers. I've upgraded them to give them an additional Cognis heavy stubber as well, so they've got 2 Cognis stubbers in total. It's just weird, it's just formatted a bit strange because I had to write it neutron laser and Cognis, and then you get the additional one, okay. And then we've got another detachment with Manipulus in. Okay, so this is a guy that isn't actually in this codex. He is from the kill team, and he gives an extra 6-inch range to all of your weapons, providing that their weapons are over 24 inches, which they all are, except the Rangers, I believe. So you need to check that the exact wording, but really we're just looking for that extra 6-inch range on the destroyers and on these Scorpiuses. Again, all riser, so these Scorpiuses are going to be re-rolling 1s to hit because they'll be hopefully within 6 inches of the Dominus. And these guys are the ones that don't need line of sight, which is perfect for ITC, which means because you've got 3 of them, nobody can take engineers from you, and also you can just bombard people who are hiding. And now you're going to get that extra 6-inch range, which they desperately need just to basically get into that backfield. Okay, so yeah, that is the list basically. So in regards to kind of deploying this army, you kind of want to keep everything nice and close, but you just want to make sure you're screening appropriately as well. Okay, so let's just quickly run through a bit of a whiteboard here. So what we've got is, let's say we're playing, I don't know, Dawn of War. Okay, oh, got rid of that. Let's say we're playing Dawn of War. So this is our deployment. You're basically going to want to deploy your main units. So your characters, I'll do these little circles. So your characters, your Manipulus and your Dominus are going to be quite close together. Then you also want to then put your servitors or your destroyers basically back here. Okay, the destroyers want to go at the back. And then what we want to do is actually put the onagers, because they're round massive bases, are kind of impossible to screen, okay, or you can use them to screen, as well as then the rangers basically in these kind of lines, all right? So this is kind of what we want, and it's all about keeping these, and I think you've got 5 units of these, so what you want to kind of do is interlink them like that, So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's 5, yeah. So 5 units, and then you want to put your other characters then as well, the smaller characters that you're not worried about, your engine seers, just out and in between these units, so that if they tag something, they have to pile in towards the closest enemy model, which will be the character and not your destroyers, okay? And then that gives plenty of room for these guys to fall back out of combat. And if they tag a tank, is okay, you're only losing a 100-point model, whereas you don't want them to touch your 400-point unit, okay, because they can't fall back and shoot. So the goal here is basic, and then you've got your Scorpiuses as well, so they're just chilling at the back, and then hopefully your Dragoons would have been deployed pre-game, and they're going to be essentially just using whatever cover they can into the middle of the board. And you don't want to be particularly aggressive with these until your opponent starts to maybe bring units forward, and then what you can do is go and tackle these units one by one. And if you keep them central, then they can go either way depending on which sort of side your opponent comes in from, okay? Because they're hopefully, if you're playing on a good map, there's hopefully, you know, like some good sort of line of sight blocking piece of terrain in the middle here where they can hide behind it, probably some cover over here and over here where you want to keep these servitors. Maybe there's a little bit of cover down here as well, I don't know, something like that. So you can keep the servitors behind there. And then these guys here can just pivot around that building. They've got the maneuverability, and getting that 9-inch move might be able to help you get out of line of sight. So hopefully that helps you. Going to give you a good idea on how to deploy, and in a little bit more detail. Anyway, Chuck, I hope you enjoyed this list. I know you mentioned to me about the mentorship program, and I think you're going to get so much value out of it. I really do. It's a year-long course, and it's been absolutely perfectly crafted. In the amount of detail that we've gone into is spectacular. So I think you're really going to get a lot from it, okay? Because you can also understand how all the other armies work. And because you haven't been playing for that long, it's going to give you a really good plethora of knowledge to understand, you know, how all the other factions play, what to look out for, and just so that you get to the tabletop and feel really comfortable with your army. And with this list, you've got a really, really good chance of doing very well with pure Admech. One of the other guys in our mentorship program, he also runs pure Admech as well. A little bit different to this list, but he's doing very, very well with that at the moment. So, you know, he'll be somebody you can chat to and obviously share ideas with. And I'm an avid Admech player. Jack also loves them, so you'll be amongst good company in regards to the Admech. So anyway, I really hope you enjoyed this list, and again, thank you so much for working with us, and I do hope you like it, and let me know if you get any questions. You get 2 emails, okay? So if you do have any questions, you can, you know, send those over the next 4 weeks. So what I would suggest you do, if you haven't got the models, proxy them, get a test game in, and then basically, you know, email me any questions that you've got about how to use the list, okay? Anyway, Chuck, take care, and I'll hopefully see you in the mentorship.